Hello and welcome to another episode of Earth911's Sustainability in Your Ear, the podcast conversation about accelerating the transition to a sustainable carbon neutral society. I'm your host, Mitch Ratcliffe. Thanks so much for joining in. Welcome to a special interview with model and water access advocate Georgie Badiel, produced in partnership with our frequent guest, Doug Heske of Newday Impact Investing. We're talking to leading voices advocating on behalf of environmental and social issues around this heat and water-stressed planet. While climate change has taken center stage now that the long-predicted extreme weather events have become almost a daily story in the news, investments in climate solutions must also integrate funding, training, and other efforts to produce a more equitable, circular economy that creates prosperity for all in the global south as well as in the north. Supermodel Georgie Badiel Liberty, who has graced the covers of magazines and appeared in advertising around the world, has turned her celebrity to the challenge of educating women and providing clean, accessible water supplies to villages in her home country of Burkina Faso. About 10 million people in Burkina Faso lack access to clean water and water sanitation, and the impact falls most heavily on girls and women. As a child, Georgie carried water 3 hours a day, working alongside her grandmother and cousins to transfer water to her village for her family's use, and she was just one of many girls having to do that. She was also the inspiration for the illustrated children's book, The Water Princess, about how she grew up. Building on her portfolio of modeling work with Louis Vuitton, Marc Jacobs, Diane von Furstenberg, and other designers, Georgie launched the Georgie Badiel Foundation in 2015 to raise awareness about water issues and women's education in Burkina Faso. Her foundation finances clean water projects and trains women to restore, maintain, and monitor water systems once they're in place. Climate change is making water and food an even more scarce commodity than it already was in Burkina Faso, which is a landlocked country in Western Africa, part of the Sahel, the driest region in the continent. In addition to global warming, extremist groups have driven more than 1.9 million people from their homes in the country in recent years and have damaged wells simply to sow chaos. Georgie has a powerful mission, and we'll get to know her and her foundation's work today. You can learn more about Georgie and her work as a model and activist at georgiebadiel.com. Georgie Badiel is one word, no space, no dash, and her last name is spelled Badiel. That's georgiebadiel.com. And check out Newday Impact at newdayimpact.com. Welcome to the show, Georgie. How are you today?
Hello, Mitch. I'm doing great. How are you doing? Thank you for having us.
I'm doing wonderful, especially because you're here to join us today. And Doug, it's always a pleasure to have you on the show. Welcome back.
Likewise, Mitch. Great to see you.
So, Georgie, I wanted to start because you have such a fascinating life story. Can you tell us about your journey from your village, Kofikro, where you grew up, to the runways of fashion shows around the world? How does a girl from Kofikro become Miss Burkina Faso, Miss Africa, and a globally recognized model?
Oh, thank you. Thank you so much, Mitch. I would say that the way that my story actually started is that as a young girl, I used to walk 3 hours with my grandmother to fetch water. Fetching water wasn't something that I liked because, number one, I'm not a morning person. So every morning, my grandmother would come at the door, 6 a.m. She would knock the door, let's go get the water. And it was annoying to me. I also grew up between 5 brothers. And in my village, it's the duty of the girl to walk to fetch the water. Mm-hmm. To me, it wasn't right that I have to, wake up so early, miss my sleep, and go fetch water for my brothers. To me, it was like, if we need water, we should all get water. And I was blessed. I would say I grew up beautifully. At the age of 14 years old, my father told me that he won't be able to afford for my school. Really? And everything that I have was schooling because, we grew up in a society where, everyone is telling you You have to go to school to choose what you want to become. You can become a doctor. You can become who you want to be. So when my father told me that at 14 years old, I was completely lost. I didn't know what to do. So at first, I was very determined to continue my education. So I started to save my breakfast money, which was about maybe 5 cents. I bought a toffee can and I started selling toffee at school. And at some point, I realized that that money would not be enough.
Mm-hmm.
And one day I was walking down the street. A guy saw me, told me, "You told you're beautiful, you can become a model." And the first thought that came in my mind was, did there is money in modeling? It was like, yes, you can become like Naomi Campbell or Kate Moss. I said, all right, let me find a way. From there, I went to knock at the Burkinabé designer door. His name is Pateo,
Mm-hmm.
or Pateo Ouedraogo, who 3 years ago designed actually for Dior. I went to knock on his door. I said, please take me, try clothes on me and pay me. That is how I started to model. And from there, I saw that there were a great opportunity to become a beauty queen. Why not? I went to first Miss Koudougou, which is my town in Burkina Faso. And after winning Miss Koudougou, I went to Miss Burkina Faso. After winning Miss Burkina Faso, I went to Miss West Africa. That one I came second. That's why I never talked about. And after that, I went to Miss Africa, which God blessed me to become Miss Africa in 2004. Following that, with the help of few friends, I was accepted to a modeling agency in Paris, and that is how it all become big.
I love the fact that you went in on your own terms and you made those terms work. How's life changed for young women in Burkina Faso since you grew up? And is that same kind of opportunity available today?
Well, I would say that the people I grew up with, everybody tried to become who they wanted to be. And to be honest with you, I would say some did lack a lot of opportunity. For example, my cousin Rita, when we were a kid, she never had a chance to go to school. She stayed all time with grandma. I had this opportunity because my father believed in education. So Rita's still there. She's still at the farm. She's still farming. She did got married. She had a few kids, but unfortunately, her marriage didn't work out. So she went back to grandma's house, and her life continued. But today she have access to clean drinking water, which is a major plus, right, for breaking the cycle of water poverty. My cousin Patricia, which I grew up with, had the opportunity to continue education. Today she runs a small business. So I would say some of these women, did succeed on their own term, and some unfortunately are still on the rise to become who they want to be.
Now, your organization has relieved many women of that 3-hour daily trek. How has that changed the ability for a young girl to get an education or to connect with other opportunities within the community?
Okay, thank you. So I started my journey with the Georgie Badiel Foundation back in 2015. I started the organization not because I wanted to have an organization, because I saw that there were an injustice being made for the people of Burkina Faso, and like the people who do not have a voice, like the people of my village. So since 2015, the Georgie Badiel Foundation has been able to impact 226 communities with water projects. We restore 194 wells. We built 22 wells. We built 10 oases, provide water to over 340 1,000 people, the building of toilets and women empowerment. I would say that with these communities, what we can see is, I would say, number one, the reduction in waterborne disease is very important, such as fighting illness, such as hepatitis A, typhoid fever, diarrhea, especially in infants. And number two, we can see that there is an improvement on sanitation practice. It's very important within these communities to fight these diseases. There is an education outcome that comes, right, with access to education. Women that used to walk 3 hours, 4 hours away from the village to fetch water, now they have time to go back to school if they wish, to start a small business within the community, in economic empowerment for women. Some of them start the hair salon for themselves. They have time now. They can generate income. Some of them have a garden, need a home, which the garden, when they harvest, they take these fruit and vegetables, go to the market and sell them so that they can send the kids to school. They can buy fabric and make a beautiful dress. They can become just independent. We've been seeing amazing improvement within the community we've been working with.
You know, one of the most inspiring things for me is the fact that you've educated the women of these villages to build and run these wells and the sanitation facilities. How has that changed their perspective on the opportunities available to them?
You know, back in when I started GBF a few years ago, I believe in 2017, that's when we start a woman engineering program. I would go to villages where I would see that there is a well. And we'll ask the woman, oh, you have a well, but where do you go to get water? They're like, oh, we just walk 2 hours, 3 hours away from here to get water. And my question to them is, you are asking me to build you a new well, but yet you have a well here. Like, yes, it's been broken for a long time. And to me, it was like, why don't we fix this one? We already have it. And the answer was like, we don't know how. And I was like, okay, that's easy. We can, you know, break down the cost of engineering, because building wells is engineering. Let's break that cost down and teach this woman how to restore and maintain this well. And just for record, Burkina Faso have over 9,000 broken wells. The last, yes, that is, I did that big wow when I heard that from the Ministry of Water. I couldn't believe it. These water wells were built by the government, by amazing, generous people, by big organizations that we all support and love. But unfortunately, none of these people actually thought of giving this community the basic knowledge to maintain and fix these wells. And I would say that for GBF, what makes us very innovative on a woman engineering program is that we broke the engineering curriculum to a level where a fourth grade student can understand it and also fix a well. You know, that makes it very unique on its own.
Well, that emphasis on self-reliance, which is something that every community and every individual needs in order to be resilient in the face of all of the stresses from climate change that we're seeing now, is so important. And Doug, I want to bring you into the conversation here, because this is the perfect transition. Tell us about how Newday's approach to impact investing and partnering with influencers like Georgie, or creating films as you are with Philippe Cousteau, who was on recently. How does that help you move the world to the place that you want it to go?
Yeah, great question. So we are 100% focused today on impact outcomes.
Mhm.
And the work of Newday today is largely focused on building market-based solutions to derive those outcomes. There is more than $500 million each year that's given in charitable grants to very important NGOs and nonprofit organizations in the US. But compare that to a global equity market that is more than $45 trillion today. And what we like to say is that even if we're able to capture just a very small percentage of that $45 trillion and get it focused in the right areas, we can make an extraordinary difference. So we want a seat at both tables. We're not trying to diminish the importance of grant capital into the important work that NGOs and nonprofits are doing. But we also want individuals, institutions, to be thinking about capital as a mechanism for change. And that is the work that we do at Newday tied to our investment portfolios. We are taking 15% of our revenues today and driving them back into our partners so that they can continue to do the work that they and only they can do. We are also encouraging a number of our clients to make a similar commitment and dedicate any percentage towards these very, very important causes that we're working on.
Now, the two of you are working on the launch of the Water Gala, which will be on October 6th in New York City. How did the partnership emerge? Did you meet and say, we'll work together?
Well, so first of all, we've moved the date this year to September 29, and quite deliberately, because that is the last day of the UN General Assembly.
Okay.
So there are a number of people that are going to be in town that we wanted to invite, and many who have committed to coming to the event. So Georgie and I...
We want you to come.
And Mitch, of course, we would love to have you there.
Yes.
Well, I would have been there on the 6th, but I will be there on September 29th.
Yes. Done.
I'm glad I asked because
Yes, we would love to have you.
I think last year was October 6th, which was an extraordinarily successful event. And we actually, in our first major gala that we've done as an organization, raised more than $1 million of grant capital, which was extraordinary.
And what happens with that money? How is it deployed?
So the funds were deployed for impact. Georgie Badiel Foundation is an impact organization, meaning that we believe in pouring what we raise into the community. And from last October to now, we were able to impact 40,000 people. That's what 40,000 people with access to clean drinking water in Burkina Faso. We restore 50 wells, we build 10 oases, and we are continue work on the ground to impact many communities in need of access to clean drinking water.
Now, the foundation designed what you describe as the Oasis water system. It's the foundation of a functioning well and sanitation system. Can you tell us how it works?
Yes, absolutely. One thing that I actually observed as I studied the organization, I went through a very long process of learning why things are not working. Because in order to make a change, to make a difference, you have to understand the problem. You have to understand why things are not functioning within these communities, why wells are built and no one is really taking care of them and giving the attention that it needs to keep on functioning. We did a survey within the community to ask them, listen, we know in some of these communities there is a well. You guys don't have a well. What will make you excited to come in your water well? And also making you contribute to the sustainability of your well. The answer was, if it's solar power, it will make sense to us. So that we don't have to pump all day long, because these hand pumps between you and I are not sustainable for the long term, because imagine being on a 100-degree weather where you have to pump to fill your buckets for hours.
Yeah.
So it's not at all sustainable for the long term. So they say it has to be solar power. We need a community garden. We need somewhere where we'll have proper access to sanitation and hygiene. So we say, okay, we regroup all of that and we build the oasis, which is a component of what they access. A community place where they gather to access clean water, where there is a community garden. At this time, Burkina Faso is going through famine, some of this community. So the food that is harvested within this community, whenever someone come in and get water, if there is food that we are harvesting, is donate to them so that they can go and cook a meal for their family. One thing that was very important for me to add on the oasis was electricity. Because within these communities, there is no electricity for kids to study at night. And I have experienced that as well. So we put in some lamps and a blackboard where kids can come in and study, do their homework, and a place where the community can charge their device. And they all make it a beautiful oasis in the middle of the desert where you access clean water, you access proper sanitation. There is a community garden, there is electricity, and a place for people, for the community to rest.
And it stands on its own. Now, the solar and the water technology are valuable skills. Do you find that it qualifies the women who you train to get other jobs in the community?
We hire the woman in each oasis. We hire 3 people, which are 2 women and 1 man. So we create jobs within the community. The women we hire are the ones that have been accessing engineering skill and education to restore and maintain the water system. It's very important so that we don't end up in the 9,000 broken wells of Burkina Faso.
There's so much more to this as well. There is, when you think about Georgie's ability to get out there and train women on the skills that they need to become engineers. And there are many organizations that have tried to do this in Burkina Faso, but very few that have been successful at it. But we jokingly say, okay, these women that hop on their motorcycles, that are driving around the countryside, going out and fixing these wells, are the badass women of Burkina Faso, right? They're the ones that are going and getting the work done. And that's really, really exciting. If you saw the photos of these people that are toiling at this effort, it really is extraordinary.
But that sense of ownership, of efficacy, is so important to catalyzing new communities and to solve the problems that we face as a planet right now. We need to catalyze a lot of new communities. Do these systems become community property, and the foundation continues to work with the community? How does that become a shared asset for the entire?
So one thing that I have observed with these broken wells is that when you come within a community and you say, oh, the well is for the community, that means that the well is for nobody.
Really? Okay.
Meaning that everybody will come in and get the water from that well. But unfortunately, when it's broken, it becomes to nobody, because everybody needs to participate to fix it. And at the end, nobody actually really wants to fix it, right? They're waiting for the government to come in and fix it, or the organization that came in to help them fix it. Versus when you train 2 women from within the community to learn how to monitor and fix this water system so that they know what to do, right? And also they organize themselves within the community to have savings on the side to fix these wells before it actually broke, etc., etc. So GBF has decided to take ownership of the oasis, meaning that if we do want the water system to be uninterrupted and sustainable for the community, one person needs to come in and take the ownership. Now, every time a family comes in to get water, they give 1 penny for 25 liters of water, which is nothing. It's a way of us saying that this is pure charity. Your 1 penny make you feel that sense of responsibility toward your oasis, toward your water well, toward the maintenance of this beautiful community center of oasis that you have access to.
Now, have you looked at the economic impact of an oasis system on a community? Does it create other jobs? Because you mentioned earlier that now the women have the ability to buy some fabric or to go to a salon. It sounds like that catalyzes an entire economy.
Yes, no, absolutely. And there is the funds that the oasis as well that generate within the community. One oasis will generate about 200 a month, and that is enough. That is sustainable enough for us to continue the maintenance of the oasis and paying the people that also work at the oasis.
Doug, do you see an opportunity to build on the presence of an oasis system with other impact investments in the region?
I don't think there's any question. This model that has been developed by the Georgie Badiel Foundation is something that can be replicated across other West African countries. It is a model that works. We have spent countless hours talking to other NGOs and nonprofit organizations that are working in the area of water and sanitation and empowerment. There's nobody that's doing it better than the Georgie Badiel Foundation. And this is a learning model for many other organizations to adopt on a go-forward basis.
I need to take a quick commercial break. We're going to be right back to continue this very important conversation. Hey, extended producer responsibility change makers, let's unite. Meet me and the Earth911 team in Portland, Oregon this September at the 2023 U.S. Product Stewardship Forum, the nation's only conference dedicated to EPR legislation and best practices. The circular economy is being crafted today, brick by brick, with EPR legislation, and packaging recycling efforts are leading the way. 2022 saw unprecedented momentum, with 18 states considering over 60 EPR bills, and 6 became law. This year in Portland, you'll find exclusive insights from globally recognized EPR experts. The Product Stewardship Institute invites you, the movers who will shake their regional recycling and composting systems with new ideas. Network. Hone your EPR knowledge and form strategic alliances to drive the circular results this world needs. Now is the time for producer responsibility. So join us at the 2023 U.S. Product Stewardship Forum in Portland, Oregon. That happens from September 11th to 14th. Register today at productstewardship.us. Product stewardship is all one word, no space, no dash. Productstewardship.us. Be a part of the solution, because stewardship starts with you. And we are back to continue the conversation with Georgie Badiel, model and advocate for water access and women's education in her native Burkina Faso, along with Newday Impact Investing CEO Doug Heske. Together, they are preparing for the Water Gala in New York, which is on September 29th, folks, not October 6th, September 29th, 2023. So look up how to participate. Georgie, I want to ask about what's going on in the Sahel region of Africa. It's the arid stretch through the middle of the continent. And there have been a whole series of coups. Burkina Faso has had, as you related earlier, 3 different presidents in the last year. And last week, when we were talking, Niger saw a military takeover of the country. How does that kind of political tension and the accompanying extremist activity that has taken place in the wake of coups affect the foundation's ability to do what it wants to do? Is it a limit, or does it open new opportunities?
Our work at this time, our work is very limited in the sense that back in 2018, we had to move a program from the north. We were located in the north of the country, around Pibaore, Busuma, Kaya. We have to move from there to Kadiogo, not far from the capital, and still, even though where we work is closer to the capital, meaning an hour away from Ouagadougou, an hour and a half, 2 hours away from Ouagadougou, the demand of access to clean drinking water is crucial. There is a lot of displaced people in these places who need water, and the crisis Burkina Faso has been living over, I would say, since 2015, is that we've been attacked by quote unquote terrorists who have taken the north of the country. They have taken the north of Mali as well. And unfortunately, last week we had a coup in the neighboring country, Niger. At this time, I would say that after 3 coups Burkina Faso have in 1 year, who there is to really take care of the community, of the people?
It's such a difficult challenge. On the other hand, what we're talking about are these small changes that can lead to a resilience in community that we don't see in many parts of the world because we get caught up in the bigger problems. As you look at what additional things that Newday and your foundation can do together, where are opportunities for investment to create, especially for women, a better future?
Yeah, absolutely. Already access to clean drinking water is crucial for women within these communities because they have to work long hours to fetch water for their families. When they come back, remember that this water is very heavy. If this woman doesn't have access to a donkey to help her, for example, or a bicycle to carry her water home, she will have to walk back and forth and come back with the water, which, rip her off from having a business, a small business to do, rip off for being educated, from have time to educate kids, and also take care of herself as a human being, So access to clean drinking water, I would say, is so basic and so important within this community. I was in Burkina Faso last week, and we were able to restore a well that was broken for nearly 2 years. But just seeing the water the community were drinking before was insane. It was insane. It was water full of bacteria, full of disease, but they have to deal with it. That's all they have. That's all they have.
Doug, what can we do as a society to invest to create more opportunity for people who are literally struggling just to have water that is safe, let alone water?
Mitch, this is the most basic of human rights, right? And like so many of us in Western societies fail to understand the toil that citizens in places like Burkina Faso go through, and how that robs them of opportunities in their life because they're spending hours every day doing this when they could be spending time in the classroom or pursuing new careers. So there's work that all of us can be doing, and it's contextualizing a lot of this as well. So, certainly getting involved and becoming a funder of the Georgie Badiel Foundation is critically important, but making investments in impact investments that are addressing this cause is also very important. And Georgie and I have had opportunity to spend a lot of time with families that care about these issues, ranging from large to small, and we've been encouraging them to set up specific investment programs that are investing in public securities whereby we together can direct capital, charitable capital, as an offshoot of that program back into areas like Burkina Faso. There are so many alternatives right now where individuals and institutions can have a substantial impact.
I'm curious about another aspect of just changing cultures. And in Burkina Faso, women were in a very subservient role. They were the ones who went and got water. As this changes, do male Burkinabé, are they supportive of this change? Or do you find that you need to invest in order to create more opportunity for everyone in order for there to be acceptance of new roles for women?
Definitely more opportunities will help these communities, as much as we might focus on access to clean drinking water, definitely men as well need opportunities. Sometimes when I go to villages, I will meet people that I, very much like, people that are kind. On one of our oases, I met one man that actually is one of the guys that actually take care of the oasis at night. We call them the guardians. We give the engineering skill to the woman, and then the men are the guardian of the oasis. But
bear the burden.
Came to me. They're good guardians of the water, right? It's good. The man came to me asking for support for him to grow his field, and all he needed is manure. That's all he needed for me to, invest in that so that he can grow his field, take care of his family, and have a better life. All he needed is manure.
It seems like there's a lot of opportunity for the villages to come together in the setting of having water and being more comfortable in one way, and invent a future together. What kinds of aspirations do you find these communities develop as they recognize they have the chance to think differently?
Yeah, Mitch, one thing you need to, for example, know about Burkina Faso. Burkina Faso have the hardest worker of West Africa. We the number 2 producer of cotton in West Africa. And we're number 2 because we don't use NGO into our cotton is 100% organic. We ban completely NGO into our earth. That is without water. The Burkinabé are the people that develop a place like Ivory Coast, northern of Ghana, and Togo, and a lot of these West African countries that have been thriving. I personally was born in Ivory Coast, and I've seen how hard the Burkinabé has been working to develop the economy of these places. We cannot not give opportunities to people that are hard workers by not giving them the basic of what they need, which is water. At this time is the raining season. People are working in the field. But when the dry season will come in, they will completely stop because there is no water for them to water the crops. And that's one of the reasons why the Georgie Badiel Foundation is also focused on piloting the program of bringing clean water to one country at a time, because we are going to see the difference it's going to make within the community, because they love to work, they enjoy working. So it's important for us to make sure they have access to clean drinking water so we can see the country thrive and rise.
I'm curious about some of the costs. As we've talked about this, you've put many systems in place, and I understand they cost about $20,000 to build, but only $1,000 to repair a well. And the cost to the community for the toilets and so forth is about $835. A woman can be trained to repair these facilities for $660. How can people who aren't attending the gala contribute and help support those efforts? Because those are remarkably affordable and impactful changes.
Thank you so much, Mitch. They can donate through our website, and they can make a difference. They can, if they want to invest. There is Newday Impact with Doug here, in which we've been working to solve the water crisis in Burkina Faso. And our website is georgiebadielfoundation.org. Yes, and they can follow our progress, I would say, on social media, on Instagram, Georgie B Foundation, and also Facebook.
Mitch, there's also another very important effort underway, and we have been working closely with Georgie and her team of people on the creation of what we define as a water bond. And we are raising capital today to finance the ongoing development of oases, but also the repair of water wells. And one of the challenges that we've had, especially speaking with other Western investors, is that Western investors historically have had a shorter term timeline associated with the return of capital. And that's not what Africa needs right now. There is a longer time frame horizon that is required in order to develop full sustainable systems over there. And we have developed this through the Georgie Badiel Foundation, and it works, but will require a longer time frame.
In the water bond category of thinking, are there opportunities to drill deeper and get more water so that there could be agriculture year round and you could create an efflorescence of opportunity in Burkina Faso?
That is our goal for the oasis. Basically, people can subscribe for the month. For $5, they can subscribe and have water as they wish and do their agricultural program, which is very affordable, which is good for the community. And GBF is able to sustain this water system for them. What GBF is doing here is that we are working to become the #1 provider of access to clean drinking water in rural Burkina Faso.
Does that mean you'll have more oases installations in one village over time and spreading out into the surrounding area, or are we talking about putting plumbing in everywhere?
Yeah, no, absolutely. We no, I mean, it will be too expensive for us if we have to plumb to bring the water in each housing. It will be too expensive for us. God grace, if we can in the future, we'll be happy to do that. That would be the ideal for this community, right? Just like us, open the faucet in the kitchen and they have access to water. That would be excellent. We're talking about transforming, for example, the wells will restore the broken wells into oases.
Well, now that's a lot of new jobs.
Yes. It's a lot of wells.
And that's the long-term opportunity, which then creates the other markets that your investors are looking for.
That's right. Yeah. And Mitch, you pointed this out earlier, that there is a significant difference between going in and drilling a new well and repairing an existing well. And there is a lot of money that wants to come in and say, yeah, let's drill a new well and put our name on it and all. But what really needs to happen is 9,000 broken wells need to be repaired. And when I first met Georgie, it was one of our inspirations for getting involved with the work that they're pursuing, is that she said that if we train the women in Burkina Faso as community members, as engineers to fix broken wells, we will never have another broken well that stays broken in Burkina Faso.
Well, if my back of the napkin math is correct, then we could fix the water problem in Burkina Faso in large part with $9 million.
That's right.
This is very encouraging. Now, your goal
is encouraging, yes. He's
The
a
goal.
put this woman, the woman on the back on the motorcycle to work.
Okay, I'm good with the work. I want the work done. Now, you've set a goal to build 75 new stations and to repair several hundred wells each year over the next few years. How much of the gala fundraising is tied to that, and how much more do you feel you need to raise in order to get close to that $9 million figure we were just discussing?
So I would say, you want to go, Doug?
No, please go ahead, Georgie.
Okay, I would say the gala is tied to 1/10 of that.
And our short-term fundraising goals, well, the gala is going to be a very, very important effort to build visibility for the work that we're doing and also raising capital behind that work. We have, a big job to do in terms of raising additional capital. And we have a short-term fundraising goal of $5 million. We're speaking with a number of organizations and major families today. We think that can help us meet that gap, but we still have a ways to go. Is there opportunities to invest with Newday as an individual at this point? As you've created one ETF. Is there an ETF coming to solve this water problem? We're not certain that we will bring what is currently a separately managed account. So it is a portfolio that has been built around clean water and sanitation issues, that are investing in companies that are the world's leading responsible stewards of clean water. And so the more capital that we raise in those portfolios, the more charitable contributions that get driven back to organizations like Georgie Badiel Foundation and others. So we are not going to slow down with reference to the grant capital that we're raising for GBF. And we are absolutely going to accelerate the capital that we raise into the public investment portfolios to drive them back to create impact through a market-based solution.
This is an incredibly inspiring conversation, but I want to ask Georgie, what's next for you? What's on the horizon for Georgie Badiel?
I would say what is next for me will be just to continue what I'm doing, bringing clean water to the people of Burkina Faso. To me, is justice.
I know it's pretty easy to keep up with you in the media, but how can our listeners follow along with what you're doing?
On Instagram at Georgie Badiel Liberty, and I hope to become a mother too. So pray for me, please.
My thoughts and prayers are with you. And Doug, how can folks keep up on what Newday Impact Investing is doing?
Well, as always, Mitch, please visit newdayimpact.com or send me an email directly at doug@newdayinvesting.com. It's we are very proud to have the relationship that we have with Georgie and her team of people, both here in the U.S. and on the ground in Burkina Faso. And right now, there's nothing more important than addressing this major crisis that oftentimes gets overlooked in Burkina Faso.
Way too often. And I want to thank both of you for both your work and spending time with us today.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Mitch.
Thank you. It was an honor to be talking to you. Thank you.
That was our conversation with supermodel and activist Georgie Badiel, whose Georgie Badiel Foundation has installed woman-operated wells to provide safe water, sanitation, and electricity for more than 341,000 people in Burkina Faso, along with our frequent guest, Newday Impact Investing CEO Doug Heske. Georgie and Doug will be hosting the 2023 Water Gala on September 29th at Sept, an event venue on 6th Avenue in New York City. If you're in town, it'd be a great evening. You can learn more about Georgie and her foundation at www.georgiebadielfoundation.org. Georgie Badiel Foundation is all one word, no space, no dash. And also take a few minutes to discover Newday Impact's exchange-traded ocean health fund and its other impact investing programs at newdayimpact.com. Also, no space, no dash, one word, newdayimpact.com. The Georgie Badiel Foundation also offers resources to help schools across the United States do fundraising and provide awareness programs about water scarcity, sustainability, and women's empowerment, amongst other topics. We can all make a difference. Despite the increasingly dire news about extreme weather, the disruption of natural systems, and other daily doses of dismal events, today's discussion shows why we need to keep a hopeful relationship with the future. Georgie's journey from the village where she carried water daily during her youth to her first steps into modeling, and the way she has used her determination to create life-changing human impacts in one of the poorest nations on the planet, demonstrates that anything is possible if we put our minds to it. In the midst of debates about whether we should make environmentally informed investments by some American politicians, we need to recognize that waiting for the government to save us from the climate crisis is folly, and that if we choose to pull together, change is not only possible, but probable. A young woman decides to become a model, knocks on the door of her country's leading fashion designer with a clear request just to put her to work, and a globally recognized career was born. People in every community are talking, setting goals, and beginning to make changes that will reverse the environmental catastrophe that we face today over the decades ahead. Yes, the results are going to take time. We must patiently pursue our dreams of a healthy environment and pass the work on to future generations who will have the opportunity to actually realize a just and healthy economy that lives in harmony with the natural world. Who knows what that will look like? But like Georgie Badiel, we need to dream and act to find out. Would you take a moment to share this podcast or any of the more than 400 interviews we've done on sustainability in your ear with your friends, your family, your coworkers? I'd certainly appreciate it. The entire team would. If you take a moment to write a review on your favorite podcast platform, that'll help even more. You folks are the amplifiers that can spread more ideas so that we create less waste. Please tell your friends, family, and all those other folks you run into on the street to find us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, iHeartRadio, Audible, or any of the other fine purveyors of podcast goodness that they prefer. Thanks, folks, for your support. I'm Mitch Ratcliffe. This is Earth911, and we will be back with another innovator interview soon. In the meantime, folks, take care of yourself, take care of one another, and let's all take care of this beautiful planet of ours. Have a green day.